What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be covering a USD CHF setup. We're going to be going over that setup. The main reason that we're covering this setup is to give you guys a example of the day-to-day concepts that we use to trade the markets and how we go in and out of trades. Okay, so essentially you guys will see, how we put all these concepts together, and most of these concepts, some of them I have covered already, the basic structure, order blocks and things like that. All right, so let me just go ahead and show you guys what the scalp was. This is what it looked like. You can already see the distribution, and you can already see the fractal distribution, the redistribution, and you can kind of see the entry. But we're going to go further into it and, kind of break it down why we were looking for this specific area. Why was this area a area that we're looking for a trade from, and things like that. All right, so it's going to be a very simple breakdown of this trade setup, and hopefully that'll open your eyes a little bit to see more than just charts and candlesticks and whatever that you guys are seeing already, and more than just order blocks and things like that. Okay, because smart money is way more deeper than what you see, and it's more deeper than what you think it is. Hopefully that'll open your eyes to want to learn more about the inner working of smart money and supply and demand. All right, so jumping right into it, guys, we have this huge manipulation right here that came out of London session. Now, I was hoping that we had raided these Asian highs, but we didn't. So because we didn't raid those Asian highs, I wasn't going to look for a limit order inside of here. That's when I considered that we're going to look for a confirmation entry whenever the market was to decide to come in here. So essentially, as you guys know, this is a huge area, right? We don't just look for a confirmation entry inside these huge areas, because when we usually look for confirmation entries, we're usually on a lower time frame. Okay, so essentially what we do, and as you guys should know, this should be a common thing within smart money and within trading, as as a basic thing, we use the fib, right? Use the fib to mark out this entire manipulation zone, and usually what you want to see is you want to see the market trade at least at the 50%, right? In smart money, right, we call this our discounted and our premium zones, right? So usually below the 50% is our discounted, and above the 50% is our premium zone. So within this sponsor candle, right, because if you go on higher time frame, this whole thing is a sponsor candle, but we'll call it manipulation. So within this manipulation, above the 50% is where we're looking to take our confirmation entries from. Okay, so zooming right in, we are now on the 5-minute time frame. So you can see where we tapped inside of our 50% here, and inside of this, we can go down on lower time frame. You can see that we have a distribution. So this is one of the ideas that you could have got yourself into, right? This is one of the trades that you could have got yourself into within this distribution right here. So you have a buying climax, you have automatic rally, your secondary test, which is right here. Then you have your minor sign of weakness, and then you have your up thrust here. All right, so now all we needed right here is this change of character by breaking this low. You can see this whole drive to the downside did that. So essentially for entries, this entire UTAD is what you're looking to mitigate. Okay, so what you could have done is, after we broken this low, you could have at least put a limit order sitting right here with your stop loss above, which would have been like a 9 pip stop, or you could have marked out the 50% like we did on the higher time frame manipulation, and you could have taken entry on the 50%, which you got tapped in right here, and you would have had about maybe a 5 pip stop loss with spread, right? So that is your fractal entry that you could have caught here. And as you can see, this distribution happened exactly when we tapped into the 50% of the higher time frame manipulation. Okay, so that goes to show you guys that, smart money concepts is no joke, right? When you know what you're looking for and you know what you want to see, it's no joke. So even though we did not participate in this fractal distribution did tell me that we had evidence of sellers in the market. Okay, so as we go on, you'll understand to see why this fractal distribution is important. So now we can zoom back out maybe to the 5-minute. Let me go ahead and delete these. Looking out on the 5-minute, what do you see? Well, to the normal smart money trader, you can just see this market is just going up, right? That's the normal smart money trader, where you can see a mitigation here mitigation in here, or whatever the case may be, right? You can see the market just going up and mitigating, right? But that's not what I was looking for. What I was looking for is I was looking for a change of character. Essentially, what we are forming now is a distribution, but on a higher time frame. So that's why this fractal distribution was important, because sellers were getting into the market at this high right here. That told me that essentially this was going to become a redistribution. So if you guys don't know about the market cycle, we teach that in the mentorship. After you have a distribution, you have a redistribution, and this redistribution would ultimately lead us to breaking this low, which would create a change of character for our higher time frame distribution. Okay, now at first look, this distribution, well, this higher time frame distribution is hard to see. But once we go ahead and break this low and create that change of character, that's when everything becomes very clear. Okay, so now zooming out, this should be a pretty clear indication of why this is a distribution, right? So essentially you have your buying climax, which is here, automatic rally, you have secondary test, minor sign of weakness here, secondary test. This is your up thrust. Here is your overall UTAD, and inside the UTAD, that is where we had our fractal distribution, which gave us that indication early that sellers were getting into this market, right? So that first distribution on the fractal side right there was the indication that potentially this entire thing would be a distribution. So essentially that's what gave us that clue, okay? After that happens, we have that redistribution right here, as we were just talking about, and that redistribution led us to break this low, which confirmed our overall schematic. Okay, so essentially if you weren't able to participate inside of this lower time frame distribution, you had no choice but to wait for this change of character in order to get into a other entry. So essentially that's what we were waiting for. We're waiting for that change of character to confirm that we were going to distribute on a bigger time frame, which was like a 5 minute. After we created that change of character, that gave us the opportunity to take a sell. So essentially now the only thing that is left is to find what needs mitigation. Since we have a lower time frame distribution in here, we have a redistribution, we have an overall distribution, right? We don't need any more confirmations. All right, we have all the confirmations we need. Now it's time for the entry. So essentially the entry is pretty simple, okay? The entry is going to be what is not mitigated. You can see this doji candle here is not mitigated, so that is where your entry would be. All right, so that is your entry. Where would you target? You're going to target a new low, and we can just play this and you can see how the market goes ahead and does this. Now I would say we did play around this area for a little bit, right? The market did play around here for a little bit, but late New York, we did come into here and tap in here, and then we continued lower. I would have loved to see us tap into here during that New York open, but we didn't. We came in late New York, which was kind of iffy for me, but the trade still ended up playing out, as you will see. I believe we also had some news this day as well. All right, and just to fast forward it, I'm going ahead and let this go a little bit more. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame, and we're just going to let this play out, and you can see what happened. And I believe we did come back for another mitigation. So after we made this low right here, we did come back to mitigate this again. There you go. That was the last mitigation of this right here, and you can just see we fell down. Overall, I think we gave what the maximum was, what, almost a 1 to 20 on that, right? So nothing crazy. As you can see, it was labeled as a scalp, right? Because essentially our main target for this is going to be down here, because the market is targeting down here. This is where we're coming on USD CHF, because this is what's holding the most demand. We're not going to react from these areas. By that I mean we're not going to get a a huge reaction from these little areas here. This is where we're coming if we're going to see a huge buyer's interest, and we're going to see some potential for the market to turn around. So essentially that is the main target, but this right here is partials, and then for maximum right now what we got is what, a 1 to 20. So if you were to close the trade right now, it'd been a 1 to 20. So that's pretty much it for this setup. I hope that your eyes were opened a little bit to see that smart money is more than just, order block, take a limit order block, take a limit order, or whatever the case may be, right? It's more than just imbalance. You see, I didn't even mention imbalance once at all this video. So it's more than just order block, imbalance, inefficiencies, right? It's way more than that, guys. So understand, you have to have the concept of supply and demand. You have to have the concept of cause and effect. You have to know what you want to see. So every time I was breaking this down, you could tell I knew exactly what I wanted the market to do in order for me to take a trade, or in order for me to look for something for potential. Okay. All right. So just think about that. If you have any questions for me, you could hit me up on Instagram, right? If you want to know more about the mentorship, you can just hit me up on Instagram, or you can hit me up on Telegram, whatever the case is, whichever one is easier for you. If you have any recommendations on videos that you want me to cover, or if you have recommendations on any of these pairs that you want me to review, any type of trades you want me to look at, or whatever the case may be, just let me know and I will get that to you. All right. So I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.